Legendary Fisherman makes his debut in Battle City and pretty early on in the card game, coming in the 4th set Pharaoh Servant. It has the effect where if Umi is on the field, this card is unaffected by spells and can't be targeted for an attack, but your opponent can attack directly if you have no other monsters. This card at the time was paired with a card called the Legendary Ocean, which takes on the name Umi, and it also reduces the levels of all water monsters by 1, allowing you to summon Legendary Fisherman without a tribute. At the time, this seemed like a decent effect, but it has long fallen out of favor. That said, Konami did release new forms of Legendary Fisherman in 2015 with the supremely creative names Legendary Fisherman 2 and Legendary Fisherman 3. Legendary Fisherman 2 has slightly better stats than the first, and instead of protection from spells, it is protected from monster effects. He also has a floating effect that allows you to add a level 7 water monster from your deck to your hand if he's removed from the field. Finally, Legendary Fisherman 3 is the big boss who can be special summoned by tributing either of those Legendary Fishermen, and when he's summoned, he banishes all monsters your opponent controls. He also has the protection against basically everything except monster effects. And he has one more effect where you can return your opponent's banished cards to the grave, and the first battle damage your opponent takes that turn becomes doubled. So for him, that's a whopping 5,000. Alongside these cards, Konami has and continues to release very good water support, most recently through the sets Duels from the Deep. And so in an attempt to juggle everything that is out there, our aim is to design a deck that stars Legendary Fisherman, but makes use of some of the great water monsters available as well. The premise of the deck is simply enough: get Umi on the field early and often so water monsters can access their most powerful effects. In addition, facilitate the summoning of Legendary Fisherman in all its forms 1, 2, and 3 to lay out some big time hurting on your opponent. First up are the 2 additional Fisherman monsters we've designed, the Novice and the Seasoned. Both of these guys have hand trap like effects. The Novice can be summoned from your hand if your opponent targets a card in their graveyard, and then you can send Umi from your deck to the grave and banish one of those targets. The Seasoned works similarly, except triggered by when your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand, except during their normal draw phase. They also have an effect where during the standby phase, after they've been on the field for a turn, can be tributed to bring out their next level. So Novice goes into Seasoned, and Seasoned can bring out either Legendary Fisherman 1 or 2. The other monster we've designed is Old Man by the Sea, who does a lot for the deck. On summon, he can add Umi or any continuous spell that mentions it from your deck to your hand. He also grants you an additional normal summon of a water monster, except another copy of himself. Good old Ernest Hemingway, putting in work. The first spell of the deck is Fisherman's Wharf. Alongside the already existing Legendary Ocean and Sea Stealth 2, this is the third card that takes on the name Umi on the field and in the graveyard. It also has the effect that where upon activation from your hand or from the field, you can add a Fisherman monster from deck to hand. Finally, it blocks your opponent from negating the summon of your Fisherman monsters. Next we have Surf's Up, a quick play that allows you to summon a Fisherman monster from your hand, then activate one Umi from your deck. Finally, we have Harpooned, a quick play that allows you to banish any card on the field face down if you control a Legendary Fisherman monster. There's 2 traps for this deck, the first of which is Mega Tsunami, not to be confused for Mako Tsunami. If you have a Legendary Fisherman in your graveyard, this card allows you to special summon as many water monsters from your graveyard as possible, much like a Tsunami, but they can't be used for extra deck summons and are destroyed during the end phase. But this is a great card to either push for game or to get Legendary Fisherman 3 out there. Finally, we have Lost at Sea, the mirror force of the deck that can be used when you have Umi and banishes all your opponent's attack position monsters face down. So that does it for the Legendary Fisherman support. Hope you enjoyed. Would love to hear anything you'd add or change about the deck. And make sure you like and subscribe. Next up, we'll bring it back around to Team Joey with another one of his classic cards. It's gonna be hot.